What's up, everybody? My name is Tucker. In today's video, we're going to be talking about some NBA trades that 100% will not happen this season. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like rating on it and subscribe to the channel as well for more videos just like this every single day. With those things said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so obviously there's going to be a lot of trade content on the channel through the next month and a half, 2 months. We've got a Lakers trade machine video that will be going up at some point relatively soon if it hasn't already gone up. Just lots of trade content. But in this video, I wanted to mix it up a little bit. I wanted to talk about some trades that I believe will not happen at all. These are things that have been rumored. These are things that have been thrown out there that I just have no real, I'm so confident that they're not going to happen that I'm going to basically guarantee it in this. First up, Jaylen Horton-Tucker. Let's talk about the Lakers. Let's just start there because this is a common thing, right? Where we get Lakers rumors that just quite frankly don't make any sense. Jeremy Grant going to the Lakers, Miles Turner. Here's the guarantee. Jaylen Horton-Tucker might be traded. But Jaylen Horton-Tucker is not going to be traded for someone that really matters. And what I mean by that is the missing piece for the Lakers to become championship contenders is not going to be showing up as a result of a Jaylen Horton-Tucker trade. It's probably not going to be showing up regardless, but he's probably one of the most overvalued assets in the league right now, not from other teams' perspective, but just in trades that I'm seeing. And this is a common thing, not just with the Lakers, but with every single championship contender team ever. Every championship contending team that has all these veterans and has all these win now players, but then they have this one interesting young guy that's kind of floating. That's like their only interesting young guy in the entire roster. Their value seems to be increased because they're the only asset they have to potentially move to improve the team. And then everybody starts losing their mind about what they could possibly get in exchange for that player. And again, the guarantee is not that Jaylen Horton-Tucker won't be traded. It's that he won't be traded for someone that matters. Next up, the Brooklyn Nets. Kyrie Irving. We're getting some rumors, some reports lately about Kyrie potentially returning to the Nets. And then with that, people have been throwing out this idea of Kyrie being traded. We've heard the Kyrie for Ben Simmons stuff. We've heard Kyrie for Damian Lillard, a variety of different things. And I've said from the beginning, if the Nets were so reluctant to move DeAndre Jordan, why would they turn around and then be so excited about trading away Kyrie Irving? Now, granted, his situation is wildly different than DeAndre Jordan, and his value is wildly different than DeAndre Jordan. But in any scenario, I don't really think it makes sense to move Kyrie. And then specifically in this one, in which you have no idea what you're getting if you're the other team, and thus you're not going to be really excited to trade anything significant. I don't see this happening in any scenario, in any way. There's just nothing you can do to convince me that Kyrie is a tradable asset in the first place, that KD would want to move away from Kyrie, or that you would mess with if Kyrie does return, which is the only scenario in which he would be traded because no team's going to trade for a guy that's just not going to play, that you would jeopardize the opportunity to put him, Harden, and KD on the floor together, regardless of who you'd be getting in exchange. If you want to argue that there's some basketball fits alongside Harden and KD that work better than Kyrie Irving, that's totally fine. But to actually insinuate that he would get moved, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Not to mention he'd probably retire if he did get moved. Next up, Jaylen Brown. So we've been doing this for a while, right? We've had a lot of years of Jason Tatum and then one extra year of Jaylen Brown trades. Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, yada, 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 on down the list. And now they're like the last two guys standing. Hayward's gone. Al Horford's gone. Now he's back. Kyrie's gone. And the team just isn't that good. They don't have perimeter creators that can facilitate. They don't have playmakers. They don't have a true point guard. They've got some really, really good wings. And they've got a guard in Marcus Smart that is not a very good offensive player. And a guard in Dennis Schroeder that is pretty much only a scorer. And it's really hampering their ability to continue to move forward and progress. However, we're not at this point yet. We might be one day, and that day might be next trade deadline or this offseason. where these guys just go their separate ways and their games just don't work together. They're too similar in too many ways. They need a guard, they need a big, they need someone else that complements their skill set better. And it would at that point just make sense to move on, to split these guys up, and to get a really high value player in exchange for one of those guys. We might get to that point one day. However, specific to this video and specific to this season, we are not there. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are still incredibly young, and they are not even close to the point at which you would be thinking about giving up on them as a pairing or them as individual players continuing to improve and sculpt their game in a way that would allow them to work together and fit together. I am not optimistic about the long-term outlook of these two guys together in terms of their actual on-court basketball fit, and I think ultimately they will go their separate ways at some point. And Boston will probably be better off for it. Ultimately, I would anticipate that Jaylen Brown would be the guy moved. They would keep Tatum. They'd get a perimeter playmaking guard, and they'd probably be a better team as a result. However, that time is not this season. And as interesting as it would be, as much as it would shake up things in the league, I do not believe that we're getting a Jaylen Brown or a Jason Tatum trade this season before this trade deadline. And if someone tells you otherwise, I think they're just maybe getting a little bit too excited about that possibility rather than actually evaluating the realistic possibility of it occurring. Next up, Damian Lillard. This one's it's kind of cheating, right? Because the Blazers have literally said, we're not trading Damian Lillard. Doesn't matter if it's Ben Simmons. Doesn't matter if it's Jaylen Brown. Doesn't matter who it is. Dame is staying. He wants to stay here. We want him here. We want to continue to move this team around. We'll move Yusuf Nurkic. We'll move Robert Covington. We'll figure something out. We'll rest Dame the rest of the year and run it back next year. But we're not moving Damian Lillard. They've come out and said that. The reason that I felt the need to put it in this video, as well as the next one that we're going to talk about on the list, is because Portland's not playing well. They've lost like 7 in a row with the recording of this video. They might have lost some more games by the time you guys see this video. And it's just a situation that in almost every other scenario, the main guy here would be getting moved. When you think about the fact that they haven't had postseason success in a while, they're barely making the playoffs in these last couple of seasons. They're clearly trending downhill from this in terms of this roster construction, trying to figure out all these different pieces around them. The second guy is hurt. Dame is hurt as well and will be for the entire year, despite the fact that he's going to play through it. In every other scenario, for any other team across the league, this guy would get moved. But Dame is unique in this way, in which he is the loyal superstar, one of the few we have. And he respects and appreciates his position in Portland. He doesn't want to go and be the second guy for anyone else. And he trusts the team to continue to build around him. And whether that's the correct decision or not, time will tell. However, again, specifically as it relates to how realistic the move is, I think Dame is staying. I don't think he's getting moved this year. And then last up, similarly, unfortunately, because this is something that I predicted a year and a half ago would happen, I no longer believe that Bradley Beal is going to get traded. Talked about this a couple weeks ago in a Wizards video. Unfortunately, since then, Washington has not played particularly well. They're back to where we thought they would be, right around 500. And there's a little bit of a glimmer of hope if you're a Washington fan that wants to reset things, or another team out there that wants to try and get Bradley Beal, that if they do continue to slide, maybe his opinion changes, he hasn't signed his extension, they could risk possibly losing him for nothing. Things can change very, very quickly once the pressure of the trade deadline shows up and the fact that he is not signed long-term to the team. Once those things start happening, things can shift relatively quickly. However, I feel confident at this point, given the way Washington has maneuvered to this point, some of the comments Beal has made and the continued loyalty he's shown to Washington, and how you can kind of project this roster out moving forward, I feel confident in saying that Bradley Beal will not be traded. Now, granted, things can change pretty dramatically. However, when you go and look back at the history of Bradley Beal in Washington, there have been about 4 or 5 different circumstances, situations, and points in time in which if they were going to move him, they would have, and they didn't. And he didn't leave. He didn't request a trade. He stayed. He signed extensions. And I don't believe the point that we're at right now is the worst of any of those other points in time in which he wasn't moved. So with that logic in mind, I don't believe we're going to be getting a Beal trade this season, nor do I believe we're getting a Dame trade, a Jaylen Brown trade, a Kyrie Irving trade, or Taylor Horton-Tucker trade in a way that actually matters. Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about this list. Do you have other players you feel, or trades or scenarios you would have liked to put on this list. I'm always interested to see your guys' opinion on stuff like this because, I mean, you got to be really confident to put 100% in the title. And that's how I feel about these trades. But that is going to be the end of today's video. And I thank you guys very much for watching. Once again, my name is Tucker. If you missed any of my previous videos, be sure to check out the boxes on screen. And as I said, subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this every single day. With all this being said, hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. Once again, my name is Tucker, and I will see you all next time.